Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain episode 175. Today is my birthday. I'm 40 years old. Yay. So, when it's your birthday and you're 40 years old, there's only one thing you can do. Well, there's many things you can do, but here's one of them. Let's sing me happy birthday. Now, you don't have to, 'cause I can't hear you, but I'm going to. Feel free to sing along. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. And many more. Yay! Well, I'm halfway through my life. Unless I die. Who knows when that's gonna happen. I mean, I hope it don't. Because I kind of like being alive. I've gotten rather... before I was alive, I didn't mind so much not existing. But now that I exist and I'm alive, I'd prefer to stay that way. Gotten used to it. Grown to enjoy it. Parts of it. Video games are good. Some of the food's not bad either. So, as part of my birthday, my sister sent me a birthday present. And so... What is with my chat box? It keeps minimizing for some reason. And so, I'm going to open my sister's present and see what she got me. And you can watch and be very, very jealous. Oh, and I think Lou Sulmu said that her birthday was the same day or around the same time, so happy birthday to you too. Yep, there it is. Alright. Let's see what we got here. Let me back up so y'all can see what I'm doing. Hey, get. Alright, there's a gift for me. That's good. Here's a little thingy that says there's a gift in the box. Here is another thing that says a gift in the box. I mean, it's not exactly bubble wrap, but it's still fun. Okay. Ah, a much better pillow. Okay, story time, but I need a prop, so hang on. Alright, so if any of you travel on aeroplanes, you'll have no doubt seen little wrap around your neck type of pillows, right? I have one because I occasionally travel via aeroplane. However, my little pillow here, I've had it for a couple of years. I took it out of my storage bin to fly to see my sister a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed... So, pillow, beans, 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 beans. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, there's no beans. Where's all the beans? Where are all the beans? There used to be beans here. So, so this is losing its beans, which is weird because I can't find a hole in it anywhere. It's not like the fabric is becoming porous. It's not like there's a split seam somewhere. I've shaken it out over surfaces. How do beans evaporate? Where did the beans go? Who stole my beans? So that's weird. So you kind of have to bunch it up into one side. But no more. No more, because my sister bought me a... Okay, it has to be torn open. A pillow that doesn't... A pillow that... Is that a snap or a button? That's a snap. A pillow that doesn't use beans, but memory foam. Oh, and it's got an armature in it. So you could just put that off to one side if you want. It has an armature. That's kind of funny. So, there we go. I'll be right with y'all. So no beans to lose in this one. Unless I pull this out of my bin the next time I go to my sister's and, like, the armature is missing. Who stole my beans? Also, who sent me the sex toy? Like, come on. Anybody? Here's another fun story. My supervisor, I've been working a lot. Oh, hey. That's what it looks like on the inside. Okay. So that's nice. Yeah, so I can wash all the sweat and oils and disgustingness I get all over this thing. Thank you, Kelly. Alright. So, my supervisor came over. I've been working a lot this week. I've been working from home. I've been working at the office. I've just been working. I have not had a day off in a while. I didn't have last weekend. I didn't have this weekend. I'm going to be working. I work today. I'm going to be working tomorrow. It's really sucking. But, hey, hooray for overtime. Anyway, my supervisor comes over because he needed something. I don't remember. And so we were chatting while I was working on something, and he grabbed the sex toy off the shelf, and he's like, "Oh, this is neat." And he starts flopping it all around, and I watched him for a good minute, playing with the darn thing and wiggling it all over the place. I think he thought it was like a weird stress ball kind of toy thing. I eventually told him it was a sex toy. I still have my job, so I'm okay. So I think we're okay. But that did amuse me. So once again, thanks for sending me the sex toy. It's brought me lots of joy. Maybe not in the ways it was intended to, but it's given me several laughs. Especially because I don't think it's hard to see, but I put googly eyes on it. It's so funny with googly eyes. All sex toys should have googly eyes. Alright. So I made a video today called 40 Things I've Learned in 40 Years. I hope you enjoy it. Oh man, that was a pain because I've been actually... I released it like probably 5 o'clock today, something like that. I really wanted to have it ready for today and released in the morning sometime so it could be up all day, but oh man, I wrote it mostly yesterday and shot it and edited it throughout today in the breaks between having to work. I really wanted it to be a bit more elaborate. Have different camera setups. Some would be outside, some would be in the kitchen, some would be in the bathroom, other areas of my house, just to give it some visual variety and pizzazz. But I did not have the time for that. I was actually, I was going to record myself singing a 4-part rendition of Happy Birthday that I got so far as to actually arrange, but I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna have the time to record and edit this and put it in the video, so it's not as special as I would have liked when I first thought of doing it like 2 weeks ago, but then work said, you are going to work 12 hours a day for the next 2 weeks, so good luck with that. But I did get it done, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, all things considered, so I hope you enjoy it too. So let's move on to this week's topics, which are topics that I have already forgotten. Oh yeah, so Sonic the Hedgehog, not Sonic the Rooster, not Sonic the Burger Joint, Sonic the Hedgehog. So that's coming out in theaters at some point. Oh, my sister asked how the carrot cake was. The carrot cake was the best cake. Oh, another funny story before I get to Sonic. So I go to the gym last night, and because I didn't get to go Thursday night because I was at work till 11:30, so I finally got to the gym last night. And after the gym, I go to the store to get a slice of carrot cake because I know I'm going to use it in the video the next day. No carrot cake. Vaughn's has never not had carrot cake. I always see it there because I look at it and I go, carrot cake. And then I don't buy it. Stupid willpower. But I went last night, no carrot cake. And I thought, well, that I've never seen. But maybe they just ran out of carrot cake and they'll make some more today and there will be some tomorrow. So I took a break from my work, went out on an errand to go get a slice of carrot cake. There was no carrot cake. Oh no, did they stop making carrot cake? So I went to another Vaughn's. They had carrot cake. But I had to go further than I wanted and take more time than I wanted to get carrot cake. But I got carrot cake, and it was good. So Sonic the Hedgehog was going to come out, I think, last fall. It got pushed to, I think, sometime this month. Because they redid the horrible, ugly, terrible Sonic design that they were originally using. So instead of a terrible movie with an ugly Sonic, we're going to get a terrible movie with a decently designed Sonic. I don't know. Honestly, if it's going to be a crappy movie, I'd rather the Nightmare Fuel Sonic because then at least it's interesting to watch. Now it just looks like a bad movie. But there was a clip released of the movie this week. I'm sure there were several. I saw one, and I was stunned by how bad the effect was. Now, actually, the Sonic design is fine. Looks like Sonic. I'm okay with that. What I mean is, he is not comped into the scene well. I don't know if it's like all scenes or just this one, but man, if you're going to release a clip, this was not the clip to release because, boy, does that look bad. It looks like they rear projected the screen. It's not even comped. Like they had a Sonic standing there against a rear projection. Let me show you. I mean, the modeling and the animation is fine, you know? I mean, it's shaded properly. I think some of the thicker tufts on his quills look a little weird, but, you know, otherwise, the model looks fine, but it doesn't look like he's actually in that scene. It doesn't even look like he's standing, like, on a green screen, and I know he's a computer-generated character, but it doesn't look like he's standing on a green screen and the background was replaced. It looks like he's standing in front of a projection of the scene he's supposed to be in. Here's another one. Wow. Just... wow, he does not look like he's part of that scene at all. And the guy looks like he's about to grab that woman's crotch. Here's another one. Just, I mean, the little floating doodads look okay. I mean, they look integrated into the shot okay, but Sonic does not. I hope it's not every shot that's like that, because wowzers, man. Like wowzers, you know? That's unfortunate. But I guess at least Sonic doesn't look utterly monstrous now. It looks recognizably like Sonic, but it looks like they just had, you know, brought Sonic, again, I know he's a CG character, but it's like they brought Sonic into a movie theater and just filmed him against a screen playing the movie. I hope it's just that one scene and it's unfinished, because The weird thing, I didn't go back and check, but I don't remember the earlier trailers, the Monstrous Sonic or the post-fix Sonic. I don't recall any of the comp effects being that bad. I mean, oh well. I I wasn't gonna go see the movie anyway because I'm not a fan of Sonic and the movie looks bad, so wasn't gonna see it anyway. I want to see Birds of Prey though. That looks fun. All right. So there have been some Resident Evil, Resident Evil no, not 7, 8 rumors that I thought were kind of interesting. Number one, there's a Resident Evil 8. So apparently Resident Evil 8 is going to be first person, just like Resident Evil 7. This is fine by me. I quite enjoyed Resident Evil 7, and I thought the first person perspective worked really well for it. So I am all for not Nintendo, Capcom exploring that perspective more in a subsequent sequel. I think there's more they could do with it. So I'm all for another first-person Resident Evil game. Apparently, it's going to take place, at least in part, on a snowy mountain. This I am also for. I can think of very few, if any, I can think of maybe 2 snowy areas in the entire Resident Evil series. I think the end of Code Veronica went to like Antarctica or something like that. Went to a snowy area, I believe. And I think there was like one area in Resident Evil 6 with Sherry and was it Wesker's kid? I think that was a snowy area too. It was predominantly, yeah, it was snowy and it was blizzardy. Yeah, yeah. So there's been snow in Resident Evil before, but yeah, I could get behind that. Snow is cool. Don't see it a lot in Resident Evil, and blood looks great on snow. It's red and white, great contrast. Apparently, there are going to be zombies. There were no zombies in Resident Evil 7. There were possessed slash telepathically controlled humans and the molded, which were big slimy fungus monsters. So it'll be nice to see zombies again. Apparently there's also a ghost who's kind of the Mr. X or Nemesis or who was the one in Resident Evil 1 remake who was in the stocks and was wearing someone's face. Can't remember her name. The one enemy that stalks you through the game. Apparently it's a ghost, and you shoot her and she goes poof. All right, ghosts in Resident Evil. I dig it. And the final rumor is Ethan is back as the protagonist. Ethan being the protagonist of Resident Evil 7. And my thought was, why? I mean, both from a who cares about Ethan and perspective, because, I mean, he's fine, but he was kind of generic, which I think was kind of the point because it was a first-person game, so you didn't maybe want him to be too full of personality, or it would be weird. I don't know. I don't know. Ethan is one of the more unmemorable Resident Evil characters. Like, if I hadn't played Resident Evil 7 in the last 2 years, I probably wouldn't remember what the hell his name was. Oh, talk about Ethan. Oh, well, he's man, he's like a guy who had a white shirt. I mean, what do you say about that? There's just nothing to him. So it's, oh, we're bringing Ethan back. Why? Also, just from a story standpoint, why? I mean, why would he even be there? I'm sure there's a perfectly fine Resident Evil style story explanation for him to be wherever he ends up, but you'd think that his story's over. He went, he rescued Mia, and they went home and lived happily ever after. No, not wanting to get mixed up in weird stuff. Does she get kidnapped? Does she keep doing bad things and he has to go after her again? I hope not. That would be dumb. But, I mean, I don't mind that it's Ethan, if it is. It's a rumor, of course. But it does strike me as an odd choice. Oh, we're bringing back Ethan! Why? I mean, because it sounds, from a story perspective, it almost sounds like something that would have to be contrived to get him back anywhere. And it's like, why would you bother contriving a reason to bring Ethan back? Just why? Nevertheless, I'm quite looking forward to whatever the heck Resident Evil 8 turns out to be. I am also quite looking forward to Resident Evil 3 remake. Because it looks cool. And I quite enjoyed Resident Evil 2 remake. I still think the original was better in one very important way, which I've talked about before, but still very much enjoyed it. Okay. Next topic, and actually last topic I have written down. And since you guys aren't very chatty tonight, it might be a short podcast. So, Metroidvania. This is a portmanteau that I have never been the biggest I don't mind it or anything. I'm not going to, yell at you darn kids for using it or anything, but I've long said that I don't really like that term to describe the subgenre it represents. And that argument actually came back in vogue recently. There was an article about it somewhere, which I'm guessing is why Jim Sterling did an episode on it a week or two ago. And I found the arguments against it kind of interesting because they've never been my arguments. Some of the arguments are, it's kind of a awkward, unwieldy word. It's actually a portmanteau of two different portmanteaus. Metroid is a portmanteau of, I forget, but apparently it is a something and Android. And Castlevania, of course, is Castle and Transylvania. So you have two different portmanteaus all jammed together to Metroidvania. And some of the arguments are, unless you know what Castlevania or Metroid are, you're not going to know what the heck a Metroidvania is. See, Doom clone only really works if you know what Doom is, which is what we called all first-person shooters after Doom came out. And then we came up with first-person shooter, which is pretty descriptive of what that genre is. Oh, is it Metal and Android is Metroid? Thanks, I tried to. So first-person shooter. Oh, it's a shooter in the first person. Got it. So I've heard some arguments being that it's not very descriptive for anyone who's not in the know of those two specific game series. And it's just kind of a awkward, clunky word. Now, I think it sounds fine, but I've heard some arguments. I think Jim Sterling posited that it's describing a subgenre of game. So if you're worrying about describing not just a genre but a subgenre, you're probably somewhat into video games anyway, and there's a fair chance you've heard of Castlevania or Metroid. Which, yeah, fair enough. Otritsu calls them exploration platformers. That's not bad. That's actually pretty descriptive. I like that. I haven't heard that. That's good. But that's not why I never liked it. I never liked it because I don't feel that Castlevania is carrying its fair share of the load. I always thought it was a weird phrase because Castlevania does not add anything to the subgenre that Metroid doesn't already do. So why isn't it called just Metroid-like? What's Castlevania got to do with anything? Does it because I mean, if Metroidvania described a game that's a Metroidvania with a specific gothic aesthetic, well, the gothic aesthetic would come from Castlevania, so that's why you have a Metroidvania. It's a Metroid game with a gothic aesthetic. But that's not the case, because you've got plenty of Metroidvanias that do not use a gothic aesthetic, like Hollow Knight. So it always seemed weird to me that, Metroidvania. I'm like, why Castlevania? And and you look back to the original Metroid, which I think came out in 1986, and you could say, well, Metroid came out first. Yeah, like a month or two. I think Metroid came out in like August, and Castlevania came out in like September or October of '86. So they came out right around the same time. But my argument was always the original Castlevania is not a Metroidvania title. It's just a side-scrolling platformer game. You start at stage 1, you go through stage 1. You go to stage 2, you go through stage 2, all the way to the end of the game. It's a platformer. The original Castlevania is not a Metroidvania game. Now, Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, which came out the following year, is a lot closer to a Metroidvania, but it also is not a Metroidvania game. It's more of a open world platformer. Because you can go pretty much anywhere in Simon's Quest, with a few exceptions. It's the one game in the early series that's closest to a Metroidvania, but not really, because you can. It's more open world RPG platformer. You know, with people to talk to and stuff to buy in item shops and things like that. You can go. All the major areas are open to you. You can explore them at your leisure. You can do them in pretty much any order. So then, Dracula's Curse, Castlevania 3 came out like the next year or so. And while there were some branching paths, that was a linear platformer. Again, it's not a Metroidvania game. In fact, it wasn't until 1997, 11 years later, that Symphony of the Night came out, and that was a Metroidvania game. Metroid, Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Metroid Prime, Prime 2, Prime 3, presumably Prime 4, they've all been Metroidvania games. Castlevania did not become a Metroidvania series until over a decade into that franchise's life. So, it doesn't deserve to be part of it. No, but here's the thing. The term Metroidvania was coined in the mid-2000s somewhere. So, like 7 or 8 years after Symphony of the Night came out. So, at the time it came out, those were, the Castlevania games had been run. There had been, Aria of Sorrow and Woody of Dissonance or whatever. Castlevania had been running, especially on the Game Boy Advance and DS for a while, and had done Metroidvania games. So at that point, the touchstone for that subgenre would be Metroid and the modern Castlevania games. So I get using those two games to describe what this subgenre of gaming is. However, a portmanteau is supposed to take two different things and combine them together to make something new. Like a crocoduck, a portmanteau of crocodile and duck. It's a duck with a crocodile head. It's a new thing. Each part has a unique thing that come together to add up to a new thing, a crocoduck. But Metroidvania doesn't do that. It's just two of the exact same thing. It's like Soulsborne, which is also a really dumb, in my ever so humble opinion, portmanteau. Because we used to call them Souls-likes. They're like Dark Souls. We still call roguelikes roguelikes. I'm glad we don't call them rogue spelunkies or something. But once Bloodborne came out, which is by the same studio, From Software, we for some reason started calling them Soulsborne. And it's like, why? Why? It's just Souls. Uh, Bloodborne is just a Souls-like. Saying Soulsborne does not tell you anything new than Dark Souls does, than Souls-like does. Saying Metroidvania does not give you any more information about what the subgenre is than just calling it Metroid-like. Because Castlevania doesn't add anything. Bloodborne doesn't add anything to Souls-like, so Soulsborne doesn't make any sense to me. All of that said, however, I'm okay with these portmanteaus because at the end of the day, essentially what you're doing is saying it's a subgenre. It's like this game, and if you've not heard of that game, this game. It's essentially really less of a portmanteau and more of a I'm just using two examples to describe what the subgenre is. My sister says a giraffodile. That's right. I gave you a stuffed toy that's half giraffe, half crocodile. I remember that right. It's very cool. So, do I have a problem with any of these portmanteaus? No. Do I object to anyone using them? No. It's fine. I've just always thought it a little odd. It would be just as odd if we called first-person shooters Wolfendooms. Doom clone made sense. I mean, it requires you to know what the hell Doom is. So we moved to first-person shooters. But imagine if we had called them Wolfendooms for a while. You know, it's like Wolfenstein or Doom. And that's kind of that's where I take a mild issue with this is a portmanteau should be an and, not an or. You know what I mean? It should be, you know, Metroidvania. It's like Metroid and Castlevania. But that's not how it's used. It's used as it's Metroid or the modern day Castlevanias. Soulsborne. It's like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. One or the other. Not both of, not Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Just one or the other. Hopefully you've heard of one of them. So, that's how I feel about that. Like, boy, this guy's crotchety. Yeah, I'm 40. I'm old now. Of course, I've been crotchety for a long time, so. And that's all I have to talk about. Unless anyone in the chat wants to chat about something. I haven't played a video game in like 2 weeks because I've been working. I started a movie on Sunday and I finished it, I think, Thursday night. Took me a long... It's not that long of a movie. I mean, it was only like... it's 140 minutes. It's a longer movie, but it's not terribly long. It's just been working so much. It wasn't that great. It was okay. It was a heist movie. It was kind of meh. The heist, it didn't come into like way over an hour into the film. And it was fairly short. Decent heist, though. I got a lot of joy out of why... The thing I found most interesting about the film was it was very clear that the production had a lot of weather issues. Because the weather would change drastically scene to scene. And it was really clear that these folks were on a schedule. And they're like, oh, it's snowing now, huh? Okay. And they just shoot it anyway. This guy drives up to a diner, clear day, goes in, sits down, has a burger. Someone runs up to the diner and it's like 2 inches of snow. Wow. Apparently it's dropped 2 inches of snow in the last hour. I mean, I guess that's possible, but golly. So he gets in his car and he drives away and there's no snow anymore. And it's like, am I to assume that he's been driving all day or went a long distance or Nah, it probably they had 2 days to shoot at that location, and it snowed on the second day, and there was nothing they could do about it. Um, my sister says Midsummer's on Prime. Yeah, it is. It's also 2.5 hours long, so I haven't had a chance to. It's a movie that I don't want to pause. It's something I want to be able to sit all the way through, and I haven't had 2.5 hours to myself in 2 weeks. So, um, oh, watching The Boys. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'll definitely check out season 2 when that comes out. What was I saying? Oh, there's another scene where this guy, he knows he has some guy hiding in his trunk. So he drives out into the middle of a field, and then he walks out of his car and he sits on a bale of hay that's out in the field somewhere. And he goes, "It's all clear. You can come out now." And the guy steps out of the trunk. He's like, "How'd you know I was there?" Or whatever. The thing is, though, is there was like 6 inches of mud in that field. Like, I thought the car was gonna get stuck. Both actors had mud halfway up their shins. And there was no reason for it to be muddy. So my guess is the production scouted out a big empty field that they could shoot in, and on the day they went to shoot, it had rained the night before, and it was just a horrible mud pit. So the movie is full of stuff like that, and if I'm paying attention to that, it probably means the movie isn't terribly engaging, which it wasn't. But yeah, I got some joy out of it. So I've been watching a lot of heist films recently, and one thing I've noticed is the older the movie is, the more likely it is that the crew who perform the heist do not get away with it. If you watch a heist movie from the 30s through like the 70s, they all get arrested or they all die, generally. Beyond that, 70s through today, you're more likely to have the protagonists who pull off the heist, like Ocean's 11 or something, um, the Clooney Ocean's 11, get away with it. And that's the fun of the movie. Oh, these people pull off a daring heist and they get away with it. Rah, wee, fun. Interesting. The older movies, you can't show the bad guys winning. They got to get caught or die. Today, whatever, it's fun. That's I think what did I just say? Ocean's 11 is probably a great example of that because the original Ocean's 11 with Sinatra and everyone, um, they don't succeed. They lose. It's left ambiguous whether they definitely get caught. They don't show them get caught, but they're kind of dead to rights at the end. But they also lose all the money in a pretty great way. In the Clooney movies, they get away with it all the time. So just something I have noticed, a pattern I've noticed. Let's see. Nicholas asks, hello, Nicholas. Any upcoming games or movies or events I'm interested in that are coming out? Yes. Let's see. Games. Well, I had mentioned Resident Evil 3 remake. I'll definitely pick that up unless they have like DLC, in which case I'll wait for the gold edition or the collector's edition or whatever. But Resident Evil 2 remake didn't have DLC, so maybe not. The only thing I've heard so far is you get the original uh, tube top and skirt outfit for Jill if you pre-order. Eh. I mean, I want all the things, but you know that I'm okay with missing out on. Yakuza 7 is scheduled to come out in 2020 sometime, so I'm really looking forward to that. That's the one that has a new protagonist. Kiryu has been retired. He'll probably show up somewhere, but if only as a cameo or a summon attack kind of a thing. But this is the Yakuza that not only has a new protagonist, but a new battle system. So this one uses an RPG-like turn-based system rather than a real-time brawler. And a lot of people are reacting to that with a don't know about this, but I mean, there's been like 10 or 11 games. Mix it up, guys. It's fine. If it doesn't work, okay, don't do it again. But one, I think I like turn-based RPG mechanics, and two, I think it still retains the flavor of Yakuza and looks really cool. So, haven't played it, don't know. Maybe it'll suck. Have no idea. But I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Let's see what's coming out. What's coming out? I'm really curious about Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 3. But there's another 3. Travis Touchdown. No More Heroes 3. Really interested to see more about those. No idea when they come out. There's a couple games I still need to get, like Luigi's Mansion 3. A lot of threes. Astral Chain. Looking forward to playing that. Um, so what else? What else? What else? I'm really interested in Ghost of Tsushima, whenever the hell that comes out, because it looks neat. Um, well, I'm actually more interested in learning more about it, but yeah. Can't say I'm really interested in Neo 2 because the first Neo really did not do it for me, which is a shame because I know a lot of people really, really like that game. As for movies, I mentioned Birds of Prey. Really interested in that. I forget what the name of the movie is, but let me look it up because I was thinking about doing a video of movies I'm anticipating, and it's February. Movies in 2020 that anticipating. The top 5 movies I'm anticipating. So I wrote things down and where is it? Here we go. Was it A Promising Young Woman? That's what it's called. Um, I think it's at like Sundance or something right now, but they released a trailer for it, and they're not giving a whole heck of a lot away. Um, but the trailer's really intriguing. I mean, I'm still not sure exactly what they're doing with the movie. I mean, the premise seems to be kind of a Death Wish type of movie where someone who was wronged somehow um, goes out into the city, into the night, to bait people to do more bad things so that they can revenge kind of thing. So in Death Wish, Charles Bronson's family is I think one is murdered and one is put in a coma or something like that by hooligans. Hooligans, one of which is Jeff Goldblum. So gang members like break into his house and terrorize and assault his wife and kid. And so he never finds them, so he becomes a vigilante and he just wanders into dark alleys and stuff. And when people pull knives on him, this was like the 70s, he pulls a gun and shoots them. So definitely a problematic movie, but a good movie nonetheless. Because good movies can still have problematic elements, which are important and fun to talk about. Um, so this movie looks kind of like it's similar in that vein, in that the protagonist is either someone who's been um, sexually assaulted or knows someone who's sexually assaulted, so she pretends to be drunk so that guys will pick her up thinking that she's an easy mark to sexually assault and take advantage of her, but she's just pretending, so then she don't know, just gives them a stern talking to maybe, or goes all jigsaw on their ass. Kind of hoping the latter, because that's really cathartic. But maybe she just talks to them and learns them the error of their ways. But there's a scene in the trailer where she's on a bed. She's kind of at a bar. So a guy says, "Hey, let me take you home," and he takes her home and he puts her on a bed and he starts, kissing down her stomach to between her legs. And she's all, what are you doing? And he's like, it's okay, it's okay. And she sits up clear-eyed and stares at him. She says, hey, what are you doing? And he looks up from between her legs and he's like, It's like, yeah, so, it's like, ooh, I can't wait to see what happens to this scumbag. I don't know. Is it gonna be gory? Is she gonna like murder the hell out of people? Is she? No idea, but I'm really curious to find out. So, Promising Young Woman is the name of that movie. That looks really cool. What else we got? The superhero movies. You know, Black Widow, Wonder Woman, Ghostbusters. Uh, the Monster Hunter movie. There's another one. Apparently, that's supposed to come out this year. I have not seen a thing on that. The only thing there was there was like a 20-second clip which I think someone filmed on their phone off of a theater in Japan or somewhere. But I didn't watch it because it wasn't an official release, and I don't really care to see some really crappy phone footage. I'll wait until the trailer comes out. But I've seen a few stills from it, and I love Monster Hunter, so I'm really curious to see what they do with that movie. So, Nicholas says, I'm looking forward to that video with your 5 picks. I have a lot of videos like in the pipeline. So, for instance, Birds of Prey would definitely be on that, but I think it comes out next week. So I don't know if I should just, it's too late in the year to do that video, or just, 5 things I'm looking forward to, except Birds of Prey, which I already saw by the time I get around to doing that video. Because, I just did my birthday video, and I have best thing or most notable thing we saw in 2019 that my sister and I did. Still have to edit that. We did 2 episodes of Video Game Fashion Police. I know it's been years since we did that. So I have 3 videos that are actually recorded and I need to edit. So yeah, I don't know when I'm actually going to get that done, if I do, but I think it'd be fun. So I hope I get around to doing it, and when I do, I hope it is something you find interesting. So next Sunday is next Sunday's the Oscars? Really? Huh. Okay. Ooh. You know what the most anticipated one of the most... There are lots of video games that are really highly anticipated. One of those games, which is really highly anticipated, that I care the absolute least about, Animal Crossing. Now, I know my sister's like, Animal Crossing, yay! And I know a lot of you are probably Animal Crossing, yay, but man, I care as much for Animal Crossing as I do for the Oscars or the Super Bowl. Like, I don't care at all. At all. Like, there's no caring. The tank is empty. There are no cares in the care tank. My sister's like turning you off now. The Super Bowl's tomorrow? Oh, okay. Well, go Blue Team. I'd ask you who's playing, but I wouldn't know who they were. You'd be like Pittsburgh. I'd be like, oh, the Pittsburghers. The Pittsburghers. The Pittsburghers. Get says the Chiefs and the 49ers. Okay, well, the 49ers are San Francisco, I think. The Chiefs... I don't know. So I'm guessing, so Niners are San Francisco, I'm pretty sure. I live in California, so that's a pretty easy one. Kansas City, huh? Everything's up to date there. They gone about as far as they can go. Oklahoma, everyone getting the reference? We're all musical buffs here, right? We all like the stage musicals. My sister gets it. Everything's up to date in Kansas City. They gone about as far as they can go. They went and built a skyscraper 7 stories high, about as high as a building ought to grow. Everything's like a dream in Kansas City. Okay, we got it. Show tunes. I didn't see Cats. Did you see Cats? You don't see Cats. You experience it. I'm not going to the theater to see Cats, but I would like to see Cats at some point, just to see Cats. It does seem like something you should see at some point, even if you have you haven't seen it yet, even if you have no interest. It's one of those did you see that video of someone, you know, falling flat on their face and then rolling down a hill and then exploding? And you're like, no, but I've got to see that now. Git says we should have gone to see Cats instead of Underwater. Underwater was okay. It was fine. It wasn't bad at all. Although I walked out of there going, was that PG-13? Because that seemed PG-13 to me. Nicholas says, of all your review type videos, when it comes to streaming, I can see that as a short review. So, what else is coming out this year? Trying to think of games. Because I'm like behind. I'm still playing Dragon Quest XI. That's a game that's really, really long. Like, really long. Like, this seems to be longer than a lot of Dragon Quest games. Because right about the point where it got to a point where I'm like, oh, seems like we're at the final boss. Well, I mean, it's been like 45, 50 hours or something. That seems a little soon for Dragon Quest, but, you know, okay, it's been fun. No, you're just getting started. So the game is like many Dragon Quests. It's like, gather the 6 colorful MacGuffins to open up to lower the drawbridge to the bad guy's castle, right? So you gather up the 6 colorful MacGuffins, you put them on the pedestals, the drawbridge lowers, you go into the last dungeon, you fight the last boss, you save the world. It's great. So in a Dragon Quest XI, you get the 6 colorful doodads, you put them on the pedestal, you get the rainbow bridge up to Yggdrasil appears, and you walk up to Yggdrasil, and you pull the sword out of the stone, and then the bad guy shows up and steals all your stuff, and you're in a coma for a few months, and you turn into a fish. And now you have to start the game again, and the world's been kind of decimated because the bad guy won and killed the world tree. And so now you have to find all of your companions again and beat the bad guy. So, yeah. It's like, oh, we're only halfway through the game, huh? At least. It's kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles, I guess. When I stopped playing that game, and I think I'm probably going to get the Switch remaster and just start it from the beginning, because I was like 35 hours into the game, and then I looked on just where I was in the game. I was like only a third of the way through. So. Long game. I'm really enjoying it, but long game. Suzanne, hello. Thank you very much. Actually, as soon as I get off the podcast, I'm going to have to do some more work because that's the way it is. But, hey, it's California, and we've got pretty good overtime rules here, so I mean, my supervisor didn't. Well, my supervisor was fine, but his direct report, she's not going to like the 125 hours I have on my time card for the last week, from the last bye week. So, but you know, Zelda, yeah. I don't know when it's coming out, but there's a Breath of the Wild sequel in the work. I'm really. I think I mentioned this on Twitter the other day, week, whenever, but I'm really curious about Breath of the Wild 2, because if you listen to everything I say, then you'll know that Breath of the Wild didn't really do it for me. I don't dislike the game, but I found it a really difficult game to work up the enthusiasm to start playing. It's one of those games that I just have a lot of trouble getting the initiative to turn on. Once I'm playing it, I'm fine, but there's enough things in the game that just kind of bug me that when I'm not playing the game, I'm like, I should play more Zelda. But Link is so slow, and it always rains. My horse doesn't listen to me. And my weapons keep breaking. And the Korok puzzles are all the same. You know? Did a whole series called Bad Breath of the Wild. Check it out. I'm very proud of that series. I worked hard on it. But Breath of the Wild is a good game. It's just some of the decisions it made don't gel with me. So I'm really interested in Breath of the Wild 2. Once it's announced and they show it off a bit, I'm really curious to see how I react to it. If Nintendo shows off Breath of the Wild 2 at like E3 or something, and I'm like, ooh, that looks like the Breath of the Wild that works for me. This addresses all of the issues that I personally had with Breath of the Wild. Oh man, I can't wait to get into this. Or they'll show it and I'll be like, oh, it looks great. But it looks like I'm going to have all of the exact same problems with the sequel that I have with the first one. How frustrating. So. Get says maybe out in time for our stream. I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Original Zelda came out in 2017. So 3 years later. Possible. I mean, Majora's Mask, I think, if I'm remembering right, Ocarina of Time was 98, Majora's Mask was 2000, I think. So possibly 2001. So 2 or 3 years later. So it's very possible that another Zelda game using, from what I've heard, the same engine could come out 2 or 3 years, at least 3 years later. So it's possible. If Breath of the Wild 2 does come out this summer or by this fall or in time for the next Extra Life charity event, there's a good chance we'll play it on the stream. Absolutely. So I think we'll call it here. Happy birthday to me. I have to I have to do some more work. So, but anyway, check out my 40 things learned in 40 years video that I just rushed to get completed, and that's available on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives you a laugh here and there. And follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. I try not to be too angry at the world on Twitter. It's tough. Other than that, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see y'all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.